Welcome, everybody, to another Kicking Tables. We are delighted to have Jon Mietling with us, one of the creators of Colab, which is coming to Kickstarter on September 16th. So that's coming up very fast. Jon, welcome to Kicking Tables.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, for those who don't know the game, who have never seen it, like us, we haven't actually seen the game yet. What is Colab? Give us an overview of what the game is and how it plays.
Okay, so Colab is your mad scientist, but yeah, you got it.
No, madder than that.
But you don't have your own laboratory, so you have to share a laboratory space with other mad scientists.
With this guy? I have to share?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And that's actually something that you have to be very careful about during the game, is because what you're doing on the board is you're taking actions and leaving some things behind, because other players can utilize the resources or changes you make to the board. So you put resources out on the board, they can utilize them. That's where the Colab comes from. So it's not cooperative, it's competitive, but it is a bit collaborative in the fact that I can use your stuff to build my stuff. So the game is basically just as simple as, like, you collect resources, and I'm building a collection of monsters, potions, or devices, which come in the form of cards, in a grid that interact with each other, meaning if I build one next to each other, it could end up augmenting the power of the other. So I build my collection, and hopefully my collection's better than yours when we trigger the end of the game.
Okay. And so what does a round of gameplay look like for each player? What are they doing each turn?
So every turn, what you're going to do is you're going to have your minions sent out into the lab, and they're really cute minions that have, I should have one with me, but I don't. They're little miniature guys, and they have dice that go inside of them. So you put the dice in the minion and then send the minion out to the board. It's kind of a worker placement here that you're sending out to the board, and they climb these towers to bring resources to your experiments. But it's in the mechanical form. I put a minion with a dice out on the board, and they gather resources for me. Then you pull another minion back, so you have this kind of like cycle going. The board's always populated with minions bringing research to different experiments. And then you send your scientist to go do something. So I'm going to get something, and then I'm going to do something. So when I do the thing, I can either collect more resources, grab some victory points, or do one of the actions in that lab, or I could build in that lab. And every laboratory space grows and gets augmented throughout the game. So there's these little tiles that build up this roof line above the lab that will add new actions you can collect or build. So when you go to build, you might be limited on how many of a certain type of card you can build in one space, but another one might have other opportunities. So the board's constantly changing, and you have to kind of like figure out where the best place to build this is, because you might have given me the opportunity with your dice to get a card for almost for free. I'd be like, oh, I got to go there now and change my strategy based on the opportunities you created on the board.
That's really cool. Now, I have a really important question about the minions. Do they like bananas?
Bananas?
From Despicable Me. Every time I hear the word minion, I think Despicable Me, and of course they love love bananas.
Well, that's funny that I didn't get that reference at all, and I was like, but yeah, actually.
But you have kids. You should have got that reference.
I should have, and I will take the failure on my shoulders full on. But the funny thing about that, actually, to me, is that this game is chocked full of references.
Oh, that's
and I
awesome.
actually did have a sketch of a one-eyed goggle, and I think I should have. Yeah, oh no, that is in the red laboratory, I think. That there's a one-eyed goggle hanging on the wall that would be for a minion from Despicable Me.
Nice.
So it's chocked full of little references here and there to science fiction, especially within the mad science and stuff. So we had a lot.
I saw a card with a cat, and the cat's name was H.P. Lovkin.
Yes, that's.
And I'm like, that's awesome. That was brilliant.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, that's one of the examples of the many things. Our artist, Magdalena, she is phenomenal. It is beautiful. It has brought so much to this game, and I don't know how I could get her to make every game to do the art for every game I ever am involved with again. That's what I would love, because she has done such a great job, and it's been really fun looking at, like, and I'm going to share some of our process, because it would be like I go, what if we did this crazy thing, and she's like, well, let's try it, and then she will sketch something out, and we'll work on it and get it to look just right. And there's so many of these little references where she just nailed it with all these little things that are in there. And the labs especially, like you can look and there's like each of the labs I think has at least 10 different references to
awesome.
movies and things like that. I don't want to put too much. I'm going to leave people to discover a lot of things, but we had a lot of fun creating little references, and especially to some of the people who made like the monster movie industry. One in particular, the name is Millicent Call, and Millicent's the first name of the woman who did all of the design for the creature for the Black Lagoon. And so I put her name as the name of the creature, and it looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon a little bit. But it also looks a little bit like Abe Sapien, whose alter ego is Call. But anyways, so there's a lot of these little things. We had a lot of fun
awesome.
with that.
That's great.
So yeah, it's beautiful, and so I wish I could show some stuff right now, but you check out our page. There's a bunch of the stuff on there. I'm going to be sharing things all through the campaign, and it's been awesome to see the reviewers now who are starting to get it, get the copies. They're like, they hold up a card and go, oh, this is a reference from, and then from what, and it's really fun to see people connecting with it on that level.
Yeah. So I want to ask, like, which came first? Did the gameplay mechanics come first, or the theme, and then you built the gameplay mechanic around that?
So I get this question often with the games, and but this one came from one thing. It was like, if it was like the quickest pitch for it, it was workers hold dice. That's what I started with.
Okay.
And so it was a mechanic, actually, was the first thing.
All right.
So I had some other things going on, and it was just like, I don't know what it was that pushed me into the mad science thing. There was a little bit of going at that time I haven't seen one like this, and since I started that idea, of course, we've seen like 5 or 6. That's just how it tends to go, is that there's nothing with zombies, and then there's everything with zombies.
Right.
That's kind of like the cycle we live through. But there's been some beautiful games, and they've done a great job with them, too, and so I'm excited to be part of that, bringing, another, like, science-y, game to it. But it's very tongue-in-cheek, very like silly as well. It's a game that takes itself too seriously because it's kind of medium weight and stuff. But yeah, it was the mechanic that was the first thing that did it, and it grew from there.
Well, the brilliant choice on the theme as well, because I absolutely love the mad science theme. And technically, you got Frankenstein's monster, which is a zombie, so you're covered there in case.
Yeah, actually, and that's another one that shows up as we don't have the Frankenstein most people would recognize, but we do have, it's a female reanimated corpse.
It's the bride of Frankenstein.
Oh,
nice.
Mary,
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And she looks a little bit like Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas, too. So
excellent.
I said I wasn't going to give them away.
Well, now
there's lots more to discover still, though.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's lots to find in there. Now, I noticed this game is 1 to 4 players.
It is.
So how does a single-player game differ from 2, 3, or 4 players?
So we had a lot of fun with this, getting this to work, and it was something that I was really nervous about for a while because one of my most famous game is a game called Palm Island, and it's a game you play in the palm of your hand. It's a solo game, and so I was like, I need to be doing solo. I've had this will be the 5th game that I've produced under Portal Dragon. And it is I didn't want it to be one of the, I did have one that did not have a solo mode, and I kind of feel like I should go back and do that. But anyway, the rest had solo, because one was cooperative, and the other 2, I was like, yeah, let's put solo in, because our solo community is so great. And it's like, I wanted to have that. It was like a must. But what I did with my last solo game, our game that had solo, Planetoid, was I added a solo that you could play multiplayer as well. So it's kind of like an AI that you could add into the game. So if you're playing with 2 people, you could add, like in Planetoid, there's aliens that are like consuming the minerals on the planet, like, or on the asteroid, and so they would just go and eat the resources you're trying to find. And so they would add this chaos to the game. And so it kind of took maybe a little bit off of that. In bringing that aspect in. So it's not just you're controlling 2 players. but it is that you're playing a little bit like the multiplayer. So if you play solo or multiplayer, what you do with your own turn is the same, basically. There are some things you got to pay attention to that are a little bit different, because the AI, what they have is they have a bag full of tokens, and those tokens tell you what they do on their turn. Okay. So it's as simple as I draw a token out, I do the thing. That's it. And then I take my turn again. So I draw the token out. It says, oh, the mad scientist is going to, my enemy is going to move clockwise 1 lab. And they just move over. If they move over and they run into me, though, it makes them mad, and they get their special ability meter goes up, and if their special meter ever maxes out, they do something like destroy 2 spaces on the lab or the towers adjacent to their lab. And as it goes forward, if they finish building their doomsday device or they destroy the lab through their reckless ambition, you lose.
Okay.
And so that's the basic of it. It's a win-lose thing. There is some achievements, so if you score more points and you can, kind of flex a little bit and show, I won with this many and stuff, and you're like, well, I won with twice as much, and you're like, so there is a little bit you can go for some achievements to try and get you to build some cards you might not normally build, which that's taking off a little bit of what I did with the game Palm Island, where it has solo achievements. So you play it differently rather than just play the one way you always play. You're challenged to try new things and stuff.
Okay.
So the mad scientists that you're playing against, they're destroying the lab and causing havoc and messing with your stuff and making you get rid of things, all while they're building this doomsday device. And they are building a grid of cards. And this grid of cards makes up one big picture of a big innator, like from Doofenshmirtz, Dr. Doofenshmirtz making different innators and stuff. So each one of those, though, is a deck of 9 cards, so it just makes a grid of 9. And when those come out, they have little special abilities. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit out of order here. When you draw that token that tells you what to do, it then flips over as a check mark, and it's a criteria, and you just need a number of those to build the next card. So if I have my 3rd criteria token come out and that top card on the deck says 3, well, I get rid of those tokens and then I build that card. I just put it out. So the AI turns are super, super simple, and I'm really excited about that. I'm working with a guy, his name is Tony Graham. I've worked with him on a few projects before. He's done solo versions of a few other games with John Gilmore as well, with Pandasaurus and some others. And we've had a blast getting this working. We're still working out some of the kinks because there are different decks. So each of your player characters, you flip over on the other side of their player mat has the bad guy version of them. That's like that's the person who will destroy the lab kind of a thing. And each one has their own set of dice and special powers. So you got 4 guys you can play against.
Okay, that's cool.
And gals. So there's two male, 2 female. But it gives you more players you can play against, and then also there are right now 4 different devices they can build, and each one could build different devices. So there's all kinds of different combos. And so right now, fighting Luciana with the what was it? The Death Ray. She's really bad, and Ivy, when she has the Mind Slayer, is like so annoying, and so it's like certain combos they're like way worse. They're like beast mode if they are building that one device and stuff. So it scales with some of the difficulty and the challenge and the achievements. It's got a lot going on. I'm really excited for
That's awesome.
That's really
There's
cool.
a lot going on there, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I was reading is that your version of a take that mechanic is a take this mechanic. I'd love for you to explain how that works. That sounds so cool that it's not the traditional take that.
Yeah, so it's a pretty calm game, like, for the most part. Like, I mean, solo aside, solo is a different. We just talked about solo, so I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. Solo is anxiety, nightmare, like, maybe not. That might be pushing it too far. But you are racing against this thing, that's making everything terrible, right? But in the in the multiplayer, you're collaborating, and so people aren't really messing with you too much. What they're doing is they're using spaces on the board, and they're leaving dice out there for you to use. They're upgrading the labs and giving you new opportunities. And so there's not really as much of like I'm giving you something directly, but the things I do on the board, you can come behind me and benefit from that.
Okay.
So when I send a minion out and they climb the tower to the lab, they're like bringing stuff into the space, and then you can say, hey, little minions, get to work over here. And so the amount of minions around a space you can put them to work. So if I want to collect some dice, if it's a specific color, it's only going to take 1 minion. But if it's get any color I want, so that's shown by a little gray die, that one costs 2 workers. So they're like a little wedge that is the shape of the lab, because the whole thing is a wheel. So there's towers next to every lab space. And when I put a minion out on that lab space, you can come behind me and put my minion to work, making collecting more stuff or getting more victory points or whatever the lab affords you the opportunities to do. So you can put my minions to work, and you can use the resources that they carry. That's how the take this works.
That's really cool. Awesome.
So let's chat about your campaign a little bit. Do you have, what are your sort of stretch goals that you guys are aiming at? Is there improved content? Is there more content that you've got sort of in your back pocket that you're ready to slide in there?
Yes and yes. We don't have. I would say, like, what we're looking to do is we want to make this game just choice out of the gate. That's what I really want to do. I've done in the past with some of my campaigns and stuff where I go, we'll have those stretch goals, and when I can afford to do it. Well, I am putting myself in a position where fingers super crossed, everything's crossed, so that we can get this thing to happen. Because right now it's super cute. Each of the characters has this really big model. They're here. They're big models. So that's what you put out on the board. And then they have minions. Each one of them has their own. So like Luciana here, she's really into mechanical stuff, and she's got these little mechanical robot guys who carry the dice. But like Elias has these like little goo guys, and so they're all different. And so that's way more molds. And so right out the gate, I'm doing an instant unlock. That's to be honest, I can't afford it. But I know we're going to do better. I know we're going to go further. And so I want to have it in there. And that's always how I've done my games, is I've gone, I want this to be a quality game that I want to have. And so I'm making it maybe selfishly for me in a way too, to say that I'm going to make this choice, this night, like a really high quality component. So we always like look for things where we can do like double thick mats or boards and things like that. And so we're unlocking that right out the gate, an instant unlock to do the extra molds for the miniatures, which is, making me a little bit nervous, but I've been getting such good response. I'm confident that we can get to a place where it'll be worth it, because people would be excited about this, is where I'm at. So we do have more stretch goals, though, that we're looking to do, and how many of them we can get to, I don't know. We'll have to see. I am really excited for the game. I hope that the response I've been seeing from other people, it just resonates really well, but we'll have to see. Right now, the current stretch goals that I have up there are things like making the dice better, like getting to transparent dice or engraved dice, because it's with the low print quality or low quantity print run. It's like, when do you end up making those shifts? Because engraved ends up actually getting a little bit cheaper when you're printing 20,000 units. But I've never done that for a print game for any of my games, because we're a smaller company, and that's just where we're at. But if we can get to where it makes sense, that's all stretch goals are, is when I can afford to do more, I'm going to do more. And that's always how I've been. And so I've got stuff like we're not working with Game Trays, the official company, but we are designing trays, and I've been working with our company who has been doing for some big projects. They've worked with tons of huge games like Cthulhu Wars and stuff like that, where they're really good at miniatures and plastics. And so we're doing the game I have a stretch goal for the kind of trays that will help make setup way easier. So all the dice and tokens will just have a lid, and you just bring it out, and it's ready to go. So you don't have to go through like 100 bags,
That's great.
Get everything ready to go. So that's a stretch goal I'm really excited for. I've been debating moving that one to like a social goal or something like. I don't know, but where I'm at with everything, I've got a little bit more content, not a ton, because really where I'm sitting with the game is like, I already want to make this thing awesome. So I don't want to like hide or withhold.
Sure.
I know that's not what most people do, and I'm not trying to accuse anyone, right? I'm just saying it's like, I want to give you everything I can give you, and so that's where we're already at.
Yeah,
and so
quality
we've done
of life.
A ton of art. Yeah. There are like, there are multiple like there's 16 monsters and potions, and we put a lot into that. And so we've invested a lot into the artwork side of things. But I have Magdalena already lined up to do some other art, to add art to different portions of the game that don't maybe need art, but would make it prettier, and it would be fun to see some more of the world that she's been creating, and so I have some of those types of things, upgrading components, making, things thicker, feel better, that's something I'm always trying to do the best I can with whatever budget we have, but we do have stretch goals that will make the game better, and some content too, but we'll have to see how far the campaign goes and where we're going to get with that.
Awesome. Well, let's step away from Colab for just a minute and let's get to know you, Jon, as a gamer.
Oh, okay.
We've got 8 really quick lightning round questions. First answer that comes to mind.
You didn't warn me there was going to be a quiz.
No. This is and it's a pass or fail, man. You got to have the right answers here.
Well, I already failed.
It's just to get to know you and your gaming habits. It's board game and game night related. All right, let's get going. Science fiction or fantasy?
Bit of both.
That's fair.
Is that possible? Can I answer that way? I love science fiction.
My answer to that
too, though. I mean, it's like I see you got Star Wars. I've got a Star Wars shirt on. Yeah. But
Star Wars is the ultimate
but
fantasy sci-fi. So
there you go. So yeah. But lightning, I'll try and keep them short. Sorry.
Purchasing games, local game store or online?
Yes. I wish I had a better store here. So when I lived in Michigan, I moved to Tennessee recently. In Michigan, I had some great stores that were right near me, but the closest store is an hour away.
Gotcha.
And so it's online right now.
All right. Online. Favorite game mechanic?
Oh. That one's tough because it's always like how it's used is the biggest thing. Favorite game, engine building, probably, if that's allowed.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty broad, but
yeah,
I love to build engines. Yeah.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
DC. No question there, right? Deck builder or deck constructor?
Oh, I may need some clarification on there. You're talking about like building the deck during the game or before you play the game?
Yeah, so a deck builder is like Dominion, where you're building your deck. A deck constructor would be like Magic the Gathering style.
I would go with deck builder.
Okay. Last game you played?
Oh, last game I played.
And it can't be Colab.
Well, that is the last one I played. What did I play? Oh, yeah, we played Dice City last.
Nice.
Yeah. Tested that one off.
Campaign
and
or
played
legacy?
It in a while, and my nephew was in town. So. I'm sorry, what?
Campaign or legacy?
Let's go campaign.
Okay.
That's a tough one, but yeah, we'll say campaign.
And finally, what's a game you love but you always lose?
A game I love but I lose.
I don't lose anything.
No, it's like I'm trying to think of which ones that I lose that I like, because there's so many of them that I lose. But I'm not, for the life of me, can't remember the name of it.
Can you describe it?
It's a little card game. Me and my wife play it. We haven't played it in about a year, though. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It was right there at the tip of my tongue.
That's okay. It'll come to you.
There's a bunch. I like Everdale. I keep losing.
Okay.
But it's fun.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm exploring too much, I think, is the problem. Is I'm trying weird instead of works.
Gotcha. Well, that's pretty much it for this episode of Kicking Tables. But before we let you go, Jon, what do you really want people to know about Colab, and why should they go ahead and back this game?
Okay, so Colab, is really for me a passion project. It's something we've been working on for quite a while now. It is, and it, by the way, it is a co-design with Jonathan Gilmore. We're designing it together, but it is my baby, and so it's like I've been living in it for a while now. But the thing about it that I find that I'm most excited about is how much it changes from game to game. Every time my players who really get the game are going, let's play again so I can try this, and stuff. And because the board changes, there's like, it's all modular and stuff. And so sometimes building monsters is the thing to do, and sometimes it's not. And sometimes it's not, but you still do it and do well. And it's like, I love that kind of those dynamics in the game. So that's one of the things that's really fun. But the artwork is beautiful. The mechanics are a lot of fun, and it's for that in between a little more meatier game to bring to game night, I think it's an excellent choice.
Awesome. And of course, Colab hits Kickstarter very soon on September 16th. So everybody go check that out. Jon, thank you so much for talking with us today, and good luck with the campaign.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Hi, this is Jon Mietling, creator of Colab. If you're looking for more great content like this every week, go ahead and subscribe to OMG Nexus right here.